and also oversee the credit committee, and clearly any new lending that will go on will be overseen by that individual. Any new lending will also be subject to trustee approved protocols and obviously cash agreed restrictions. So the lending will be relatively tightly constrained under this new environment. Additionally, we'll continue reporting to trustees under the trustee applications and indeed the trust legislation. In relation to the people involved, Mark clearly is continuing as both an executive and a director, and by the way, Mark hasn't been paid for most of the last decade that I know that he's worked in this business, and will continue not to be paid as an executive. He is one of the most experienced property finance executives in New Zealand and will be invaluable to this organisation in working through our assets over the next 5 years. We're also absolutely delighted that Pete has been appointed our CEO. Peter has huge experience as both a public company chief financial officer and in investment banking here in New Zealand and offshore. He's also been a key driver for us in working through this proposal. Pete's been on board for 6 or 9 months and has been a critical element of bringing this whole proposal to market. In relation to me, I signalled about 12 months ago to the shareholders that I had a hankering to get back into full-time executive work, and that desire hasn't gone away. I have in fact, as you know, announced I'm stepping down from my executive role at Pumpkin Patch, and part of that has been in order for me to take on an executive role elsewhere. I now have that executive role. I'm not going to go into that today because today's about Hanover, not about me, but I will be starting that in the new year. So my commitment to the investors and to the shareholders in this business has been actually at 3 levels. First one is to get this restructuring process underway and through to completion. And with today's announcement that the trustees and their advisors have accepted the proposal that management and the board have put forward, I think I've achieved that first part of that. The second one is to achieve a successful vote, and part of that will be the way that this offer is seen by investors out there, and we sincerely hope, and I sincerely hope, that investors will be attracted to this proposal and will vote for it on the 9th. And then the last part of my commitment is to ensure that we appoint 2 new independent directors to support Peter and Mark on the next 5-year journey. We have already had a number of discussions with individuals in relation to this, and quite naturally anyone who's interested in being party to this has said let's wait until the vote. There's no point in being part of this until the vote is completed. And I think the feeling between the trustees, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Portamenta, the executive and the board, was that it's better for just Mark and I to be the directors in this transition period. The 2 of us know the business relatively well, and rather than trying to bring someone in and have them initiated in what we're doing and go through all of this, it's probably a little bit much. So, as I said, we have been talking to a number of people, and if this vote is successful on the 9th, we would hope to announce new directors sometime during January and February. So, in conclusion, the Hanover board absolutely believes that this proposal is in the best interests of all investors and recommends that investors vote in favour of it. When you see the pack that is on the website from 11 o'clock, we clearly identify that we believe that this restructuring proposal is in the best interest of all investors. It is significantly better than the only realistic alternative, which is receivership. It maximises the recovery potential available to investors by firstly retaining the huge institutional knowledge that resides both within the directors and the management team. It also facilitates the injection of up to $96 million, which in the context of everything else that is sitting out there in terms of finance companies and potential recoveries is clearly both the most generous and the most tangible of any of those opportunities sitting out there. We have today mailed a pack to all of our investors outlining all of this information with copies of the report from PwC and Portamenta. It is also available from our website, hanover.co.nz, from 11 o'clock today. And from the 25th of this month, Peter, Mark and members of the executive will commence a roadshow to outline this proposal to our investors. We will take this to as many capital and regional cities around New Zealand as we possibly can, so that as many of our 45,000 investors get a chance to listen to what we have to say. And lastly then, we have our investor vote in December on the 9th here in Auckland, and again, I just reiterate, we sincerely hope that our investors will be attracted to this package and will vote in favour of it. So that's all the three of us have to say today. We're quite happy to take any questions from you.
Given, as you said, Greg, and Mark, how quickly the situation has deteriorated across the board, how confident are you, therefore, that over the 5-year period you can return this much money to the investors, given that a lot of the other finance companies have been returning very, very low amounts, 12 cents on the dollar and so forth?
I think some of those other examples are difficult to compare against because they return terribly low returns when the market still wasn't that bad. But the point's valid. It is a very challenging market. We've gone into this knowing that this new money is very much at risk, but it is designed either way to give more return to the investors than they would have otherwise got. But it's also been based on our assumptions and cash flows going forward on what we think we need to do and how much time to achieve 100 cents on the dollar return. That's where we've got to. Now, of course, the market could get worse and that'll make it more challenging.
There's as much realism in there as we can logically input into it today. I'm happy to share with you that when we first put this package together, it was over a shorter time frame. And I think as realism started to set in as to the genuine state of both the finance market and the property market, it became clear that a 5-year time frame was a far more sensible time frame. And you will also note the way it is structured is that it is backloaded, which gives the executive more time to realise the assets. So, I think you've seen chief executives across a whole raft of sectors in the last month or so say they just don't know what's sitting in front of them in the next 2 or 3 years, and that applies to us as well. We've put together a package that we believe encapsulates our ability as best we possibly can.
And the receivership option, it sounds from what you say in the notes here that some of those who you have lent money to seem to be almost welcoming the receivership option because it sounded like they thought they could wouldn't have to pay as much.
I think beyond welcoming, there are in fact some clients who have been actively trying to distort information and seek that result, which is disappointing. But they've taken the view that dealing with a receiver that have to repay less, or that they can have an argument that perhaps a receiver might not buy into, where we're somewhat more likely to chase the money till we get it. So it's another reason why receivership's not such a good option. In fact, the numbers that are in the pack by PwC, my personal view is there'll be a lot less than receivership.
Mark, can I just ask, you say you put with your own partner $96 million, pretty much your own money into this, and you're basing all of this on hope that there's going to be a bounce back. If there's no bounce back, do you prepare to risk more of your money, or will the timelines drift out, or will you stick to the timelines and keep and lower the thresholds?
We don't know what we don't know. What we've done at the moment is committed what we think is appropriate. If there's so many different scenarios, if you got to the end of year 5 and it was incredibly close and you came out unscathed by putting in another $5 million, well, perhaps that's a sensible option. If you get there and it's $50 million short, maybe it's not. So at this point,